Before I need to do that, just one or two points of to note. We are doing this. This is also being web streamed, so people can pick this up remotely. And when there's time for questions, there may also be questions coming in from people from there. The standard fire exit announcements basically follow me, but also it's basically back out the way you came in. And also to say this meeting will be on record, so there'll be a transcript, and also we'll be blogging about that. So that's how we intend to take this meeting. But let me introduce our three speakers. First of all, Christian Bason, who is the director of Mind Lab, and who also is the author of this great book. And Mind Lab is a cross-ministerial innovation unit in Denmark, and he's been formerly responsible for public organisation and management practice there. He's also had experience and worked as an advisor and at the university lecturer, and looking particularly about citizen involvement, leadership and innovation in the public sector, mainly with a focus towards OECD countries. But we're delighted that you can join us with us and bring with us some of the very cutting-edge stuff that's going on at that level. I'm also delighted to welcome Paul Skidmore, who's the Director of Strategy at the Africa Governance Initiative. He's been there for the last year or two. He has been working as part of that in Sierra Leone and also in Rwanda. And before that, he's held a variety of posts as an advisor and a consultant in the UK government. And he was, some of you may know him when he was a senior researcher at Demos. And previously, you would have heard his speeches being uttered by other people. He's played various speech writing roles too. But like you can join us, particularly he's just come off the plane from Rwanda, and just talk about what's happening in three really interesting post-conflict countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone and Rwanda, different stages of emerging from post-conflict, but to hear about public management issues that are emerging there and the work you're doing there. And finally, Ed Hedger, who is a research fellow here also at the Centre. He's also the advisor on the All-Parliamentary Group on Overseas Development. And he's been leading a whole series of work looking at public financial management reforms, and particularly doing a very major piece of work at the moment with the World Bank, trying to understand not merely what the reforms were and what sort of sequences do you involve, but why did they happen? What was the politics behind that as well? Another part of the background, I just wanted to flag this, that we had a conference with the IMF, we co-hosted with the IMF in November, where we looked at what had been happening in the area of whole budget and financial reforms across a range of countries. And one of the things that clearly came out of it was that we were collectively, that is to say the donors, the international financial institutions and the countries we're trying to work with, collectively making a mistake of treating this all as too technocratic. Here was a set of technical reforms, whereas in fact we all know that they're actually much more intensely political, and also that it's actually a process that needs to be managed. It isn't just something you just sit down and write a piece of paper, we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then we'll do this. There's a process that needs to be managed. And I think if we are to accelerate the process of reform that we want to see, we're going to need to draw on the kind of skills and experience we've got from these three speakers. The innovations that we're doing in the OECD, what's actually happening on the ground in some key countries, and then also what we can synthesize from a range or a broader set of countries. So I'm delighted to welcome three of them here. The idea is we want to try and keep a good chunk of time for questions, so maybe about half the time for the three speakers, then half the time open for questions. But with no more than that, can I take it over to Christian?
Sure.
Please take